So let's have a look at the player experience and see if we can define some of these. So the emotional one first, and this is, I guess, the main issue that I have here. What I would describe my personal, and the major thing that I'm trying to get here is frustration. That is the one that I experienced also along kind of with boredom, because I got to a point. Now, let me just pause here for a second and say, if you're watching this, I would highly recommend, before going through this, actually having a look at these 3 videos here, because this is where I'm documenting the experience that I've gone through, and I'm trying to talk about why, exactly what it is that's created that. And this is really what I'm basing the documentation off. So I would recommend having a look at these beforehand. Now, so frustration, boredom. The other one I'd say is like feeling like I am being punished by the game designers. Now, I think this is one of the problems, and I think this is what you really, as any game designer, you really want to avoid this players feeling like they're being punished. That's the worst thing, and it's. I think we have it less now. This used to be something that was pretty common, maybe in the 90s, even earlier. There was this idea, and I don't know, I think game designers are kind of like this, feeling like it was a competition with the players and trying to beat the players. Now, I guess if you're competitive and you're designing a game and you want to win, but the reality is, if you make it as the game designer, as the game developer, you can certainly make it that you win. But the problem is when you make it that you win and then someone's losing, which is the player, when they feel like they're being punished, they tend to just put the game down and also talk about it in that way. So that's a bit of a problem. So they're the ones. Now, I tend to go through multiple times and tweak these things, but I think these are the main ones: frustration, boredom, and feeling like I'm being punished. You know what? A little bit of anger as well. Not that any of us actually get angry when we're playing games, but it sometimes happens. So I have to admit, I really felt quite angry when we had multiple challenges. We're faced with multiple challenges, and I'm looking around. I'm trying to survive, and then there's the big problem for me is that in this area, it's a difficult area. You're looking around, you're exploring, and then you get this random weather coming across, and over these big areas. So you're looking around, you're searching for something, and all of a sudden, and it can happen pretty regularly. In fact, in the videos that I recorded, initially through the middle, which was kind of annoying, all of a sudden it kind of stopped, but then it came back towards the end. This sort of random weather came back again, and it just reduces your visibility to about 0. And you're looking at this big area, you've got things trying to kill you, you've got the weather trying to kill you, and all of a sudden you can't see anything. So that was kind of quite annoying. So that's what I'd say for me. That kind of talks about the emotional side of things: frustration, boredom, feeling like I'm being punished, anger. I may add some other ones there later. Okay, you don't have to get all these at once. Let's get rid of that one. Okay, psychological mental state. Okay, so sometimes I guess there may be a question between, hang on, isn't the emotional side of things psychological? In a way, yes. What I've done is I've separated these out because the emotional is generally quite core to what we're doing as players. Then we also have the psychological state isn't just the emotional side of things, so the mental state. So we can be in a state of flow, a state of immersion. We can be contentment. We can be listening to music and chilling out. We can be in a sort of a trance state or what have you. Now, is that related to emotion? Potentially, but I think there's also enough difference here to add that as well. Now, what I would say here, so psychologically, I might also put exploration in here. Curiosity as well. Now, I say exploration because we're looking around. So there is this sort of heightened idea that we're trying to find something. And to be honest, they're actually quite hard to find. You might also say that a mental state is maybe on alert. And I'd say related to survival. Now, we're under pressure. And in fact, that's probably a good one to put under pressure. So we're actually feeling, and this is one of the challenges, because we do have pressure. Now, pressure's fine normally in a game because those challenges, that pressure, is kind of, it increases the sort of, in fact, the emotional impact. So, but the problem is when you add too much. Again, like when you're asking a player to find something, and then periodically removing the ability removing the ability for them to see the environment, you've just kind of killed it. You've killed everything. For me, anyway. Maybe some people like that. I don't know. Just wandering around blindly in a snowstorm, where things are wandering around that can kill you. So I've got the exploration. That's one of the positive things. Curiosity, again, is one of those motivations. What's motivating me to do this? We're on alert because we're trying to survive, and we're under pressure for the same reasons. There may be others there. I'm trying to think as well. That's probably enough for now. Okay. Now, meaningful. Is there any meaning here? Well, so here we're talking about conceptual things. We're talking about symbols, educational, learning, perform tasks in the game world, etc. I'm not sure that there is a specific meaningful thing here. What I would say, though, when it comes to the meaningful part, we have a map. Again, if you haven't seen it, have a look at the videos. So we could say deciphering the hand drawn map. Now, again, this adds to the challenge. You're given this crappy hand-drawn map, which I might actually put a copy of it in here. So when it comes to meaningful, we're actually trying to understand what this map means and map that onto the game world, which I managed to do in the end, but it was really so painful. Anyway, so as far as meaning goes, I think that's the main one. I'm not sure that there's a lot more meaning in there. I could draw a lot more from the overall story, but whether that really impacts this particular player experience, I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so let's have a look at the next one, social. Now, most of this is interaction with other players. There are some player interactions in the story, but this is only a single player game. So I think I'm just going to say NA because we don't have NA. We don't have multiple players. We could go down if we were looking at this, if we're focusing on the story part, we could go down and say, well, what about the relationship between Sam and her sister and the story and everything? And sure, that element's there, but I'm not sure that it specifically relates to this particular, to what I'm trying to demonstrate anyway. So I don't think that's necessarily relevant. Creative. Okay, so creative is about construction, crafting, role playing, etc. Now, Subnautica below zero certainly involves construction and crafting. Role playing, not so much. But so one of the things, let's say here, so okay, one of the things that we have here is, and this is right throughout the game, a collection of resources. Hopefully I got that spelling right. Have I spelled that wrong? So we have a collection of we're collecting resources. Okay, but we're doing that right throughout the game. So let's just put in throughout the game. Now, the reason I put that under creative is because as part of the whole creative process, we need to collect resources first. Now, the other thing that's probably more relevant in this particular point is crafting tools, I call them tools, that assist us to survive in the cold, really. I could say in the environment. Let's just say in environment. And here I'm talking about so the things that can kill us. Are the cold. In fact, there's sort of multiple things here. Maybe I should. Can I? Dot points. List. List. Oh, list. Okay. Okay. So let's get rid of that one. All right, so there's, first of all, there's the cold that can kill us. There is also, we have thirst and hunger. Also throughout the game. Okay, so that's one that we're dealing with all the time. We have, oh god, I've forgotten what these things are called. They're kind of like polar bear things. I can't remember. Let's just say creatures, which will kill us. Creatures. What else have we got? Creatures. We have falling icicles will also kill us. I think, is there anything else? What else was there? There might have been something else. Okay, let's say that's about it. If I think of any others, I'll fill them in. So we need, so when it comes to being creative, we need to craft tools that assist us survive the environment. Against, okay, cold, thirst and hunger, creatures, falling icicles. So we have these different things. Yeah, okay, anything else creative? We can create a base and what have you, but that's kind of not really directly relevant here to progress through the game. But I think that kind of covers the crafting part. Now, structural. Okay, so providing structure to the progress and pacing of the game. This is core, in fact. So what I'd say here is the structure of structure of the it's kind of the game world at this point. is central to the whole player experience. The player is player's goal is to explore a large area and find what they call penguins. Penguin areas to locate the cure for the, how do I spell this? Kara? Let's say Kara. I'm sure that's the wrong spelling, but I'll leave it there for now. The Kara virus. Okay. So structural, it's providing structure to our to what we're doing. So this is an open world game, which is kind of interesting. So the actual structure of the game world here is really important, and it's kind of, I guess you could say it's somewhat labyrinthine. It's like a maze. It's difficult to see. Requires the player to explore the area. Yeah, and I could possibly elaborate on that more. I'm pretty sure this area has been quite deliberately designed to be difficult to navigate. And maybe I should put that in there. This area appears to have been designed to be so these are some sort of issues here. So that's my first pass at the player experience, and like I'm just taking that really from my own experience in playing the game. If you're doing a similar thing, I would certainly recommend going through. Video can be really quite useful to document this. You can then go back and listen to the video that you've put down. One of the tricks, and maybe this is a bit of a skill as well, is to record your thoughts and feelings as you're creating the video. You can then go back and then take notes of your own playthrough. That will probably then help you to actually create the player experience here. Now I'll come back here. This is just my first run through. And I'll definitely come back here at least once more, probably more, and fill this out a little bit more and add anything that I think is important in this area. So again, I'll stop this here, and then we'll probably come back and talk about the game elements and what I've got here from the game elements.